This is going to be a really exciting video because we're talking about revision. And revision is one of the most fascinating topics in the manifestation space, in the quantum space, in the metaphysics space, because literally it's talking about revising the past. When I was writing it, I was like, oh my God, revision. You're creating a new vision of the past. And this is going to help you so much on your journey of becoming a full-time creative, because all of the programming that you've received up to this point means absolutely nothing when you learn how to recondition yourself. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is, what is revision? Then we're going to talk about how to revise, right? How to revise. And this topic was actually introduced by, well, at least for me, I heard it first through Neville Goddard. But then I created my own method. So we are going to talk about the beyond self ritual and how this is actually going to help you start to revise a lot of those earlier conditionings beyond self ritual. Okay. And we'll leave it there. And I really like having this because I'm a bit scatterbrained, y'all. I'm a bit scatterbrained. So I really enjoyed the fact that I have this over here. And then this is like where we're going to be working from. But this is just letting me know, okay, what are we talking about today? And yeah, I'm Beyond Taylor, to anyone that doesn't know. And I am here to help you go beyond your self-imposed limitations. I am a creative embodiment coach, and I help women blow up their income and impact by tapping into their creativity codes. So let's get freaking started. So to begin, what is revision? Revision is being able to take a past experience and reimagine it. That has huge implications. The fact that you can take a past experience and reimagine it, because your past experience creates you, which is really your universe, right? It's the out picturing. It's your world. So if your world, this is an I, by the way, let's create another I so we really know what's going on. Your universe, which is what you see, not actually what's there, but what you see in the waves, which then goes and becomes a particle. The particle becomes your experience. So your past experiences is you, your universe, how you see the world in this world of waves. If you can reimagine it, that means that what you see will change because you're seeing it through a different past lens. So for my creatives, for you, when you think about how you put yourself out there before and you didn't get the response that you wanted, that shapes the way that you now see your experience. But if you reimagine it and you now see that you did get the response that you wanted, you got the applause that you want, now the way that you see the world is going to be differently. And you may ask, but is it really possible? Can I really redesign the past? Can I really revise the past? Absolutely. Why? Because we live in a multiverse. Okay. So let's do blue. We haven't did blue yet. We live in a multiverse. You live in a multiverse. Multiple universes, not just the one that you are aware of. We're going to go back to the example with the waves. And just imagine everything is energy. This is the everything as the energy. You are the observer of the energy field. This is you. I'm just going to use an I for this. This is you, the observer. This is you looking at a bunch of waves. But as soon as you look at the wave, it becomes a particle, which means it becomes a actual like material thing. It goes from the infinite potentiality of what it could be, and it turns into something fixed. But that doesn't mean the rest of this isn't there. You're just fixated on this particular thing because this particular point of reality based off of your past filtering. So that means that there's versions of you all throughout this energetic field that you can tap into. You just have to learn how to collapse the wave into a particle. Let's say this is the version where your success lives. Right now, you're fixated here. We want to get you to start fixating here to then collapse the wave into your reality. So that means that all throughout here, there are versions of you. Just imagine in this wave that any point could collapse into a reality. And that means that at any point, there's versions of you that never experienced the thing that's holding you back, the one circumstance that's holding you back. And you can tap into it when you learn how to tap into the energetic field. So what is revision? Revision is taking your attention from one point in infinity and placing it on another point where that never happened. And you can absolutely do that because it's all waves anyway. Nothing about what we're experiencing is solid, final, stabilized. The only thing that's solid is the fact that you are aware. You know that for certain. Everything else can be changed. The fact that you're aware, that never changes. I don't care what you are aware of. You are aware of change, but you yourself you do not change. You've never experienced that. You've always experienced the changes. So that is great news because it means that everything else is malleable and it can be switched around and it can be played with, right? So I want to read this quote from A Course in Miracles. It says, "You prefer to be afraid of what you have made than to love what you are." And I love that because you prefer to be afraid of this one fixed idea in the infinite potentiality than to know the truth that you are the I am. You are not what you perceive. Because with that means that you have to let go of this timeline. And that is scary, especially when you don't know how. When you don't know how to let go of the timeline because that's all you know, that can be scary. But this is the truth of who you are. So we have to let go of this idea to know the truth of who you are so that you can start to consciously place your attention on a different point in this infinite potentiality, in the waves, right? There are the waves. Waves don't die. Let me crash you for a moment. I don't need to own it, no lie. Waves don't die, baby. Let me crash here for a moment. Baby, sun can shine in the shade. I don't know, when I was thinking about that song earlier, I'm like, waves don't die. It's like, yeah, energy doesn't die. First law of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It just simply gets transferred. Where does it get transferred? Into something else. Like all we have is this now moment. I'm not going to get on the soapbox, but all we have is this now moment. It seems as if things are happening in time, but it's actually happening in you as the observer, as the I am. And what you become aware of is just the changing in relation to your energetic field. So how to revise this is where we're going to talk about how to shift your energetic field. So I want to say another quote. Y'all know I love quotes. I'm gonna say another quote by Neville. Neville says, dwelling on past irritations and hurts perpetuates them. The circle can be broken by starting now to revise anything you no longer wish to sustain in your world. So, how to revise? How to revise is going to come down to, this is the way that Neville explains it. He says to go into SATS, which is a state akin to sleep. And then reimagine scene. So this could be a scene where you showed a caregiver something that you learned, or you showed them something that you created and your needs were ignored. You can go back to that scene, and what Neville says is to imagine the scene differently, to see the scene as desired. And then drop it. So Neville says, SATS, the state akin to sleep, which we talked about in the last video about the brain waves. So usually you're in beta brain wave. The reason why you want to go to that state is because the conscious mind is not as active. Then you want to reimagine the scene. So for the example that I gave, your needs not being met, you imagine a scene where now all of a sudden your caregiver is very attentive to your needs. They really want to know what you're doing. They're giving you so much support and love. So you see that scene as desired. And then you give all the feeling tones of reality. Neville was really big in giving it all the feeling tones. So I remember the first time Neville said, I was listening to him in 2021 when I first found him, and he said, close your eyes and imagine yourself filling a tennis ball in a golf ball. And he's like, that's how I want you to start to approach your visualizations, is to bring in that same level of feeling and attentiveness. So what would you be feeling? What would you be hearing? What would you be thinking? What would you be smelling? What would you be tasting? Right? Bring in all the feeling tones of reality. You really want to convince yourself that it happened. Because as Joe Dispenza says, your brain and body don't know the difference between having an actual experience in your life and just thinking about the experience. Neurochemically, it is the same. So your brain does not know that this is not actually happening. It has no idea. Again, your brain is enclosed in darkness. All it knows is the signals that you are giving it. So if you start to give it the signals as if you are already there, then it will start to fire together those neurons and then create the experience as if it already happened. So then your brain starts to use cognitive bias, or there's a region of the brain that's literally scanning for the evidence that it knows. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. And then you just drop it. And Neville says, when you really feel as if it happened, then your entire reality will rearrange itself. This is what I feel like the difficulty is, though, with this. Why you have a problem with this, or what you could face if you've never tried this, is trying to reimagine the scene and feeling it as desired. Even like, this is why he says to do it in a state akin to sleep, because if you try to do that in a conscious state, your conscious logical mind will be like, but that's not really what really happened. So it's like, get drowsy enough to like bypass all that. And I think this is great, but I also think there's another way, right? How to revise. This is I'm going to put Neville's way. And I love Neville's way. And I think you should do this in addition to, what I would add is this. You don't have to do this in the state akin to sleep, but reimagine the scene. Feel deeply Give yourself what you needed. And then last but not least, see seen as desired. And then go into the other steps. So, and this is Taylor's way. This is just a different way of doing revision. Hopefully you guys can see this. Well, I'll zoom in if not. But how to revise is you want to reimagine the scene, and you can do this in the conscious state. And I recommend doing this in the conscious state because a lot of times people have issues with SATs is because, I don't know about you, but when I'm drowsy, it's hard to like control my attention. My attention is going duh, 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 duh. So a lot of times people will just fall asleep with their brain going duh, 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 or with their attention going duh, 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 duh. So what we want to do is we can do this consciously, and I think it is more effective to do this consciously. Reimagine the scene. So we're just going to go with the example of not receiving the support and love that you desired, that you needed from your caregivers. They were not meeting your needs. You reimagine the scene. You go to a point, really go to a specific memory where you gathered that your parents don't support you or they don't care about you, right? Maybe they told you that, this isn't what you should be doing. You should not be trying to pursue a career doing content online. You should be trying to get a real job. And you can go there, or you can go even further back to a previous memory, like as a kid, where you expressed interest in something you wanted to do. Like I told my mom, I talked about this before. I told my mom I wanted to, be on Disney Channel. I wanted to act. I wanted to sing. And my mom pretty much was like, yeah. We'll think about it. And I felt like my needs were not met. So I just grew up feeling not supported. And I mean, so many other examples of just like not feeling supported. But what that becomes is no longer a part of the experience, because we're going to do this. Reimagine the scene where you don't feel supported. Feel deeply into the sensations. What did it feel like to not feel supported? Like, close your eyes and go into the scene. Go into the body. Really feel into not having the support that you desired and needed at that time. Give yourself what you needed in that moment. So can you stay with that? Can you see yourself in your imagination going and just hugging yourself? Or you can even hug yourself in real time. We're going to get into that, into the Beyond Self ritual. But just like really being able to feel deeply into the sensations, I always say exaggerate them, because a lot of times these sensations, and they keep creating your experiences because they're not being witnessed and because you feel like it's not safe enough to feel. So when you can exaggerate the thing that you really don't like to feel, and you see that I am still here, I'm exaggerating it, but I'm still here. You're teaching yourself how to feel that, which means that you are expanding your capacity, because right now this could be your capacity, very small. And I'm going to be talking about that in the next video about your capacity, because you don't want to feel your emotions. This is avoidance. You think it's protection, which it's a protection in a way, but really it's avoidance. So because you're avoiding feeling certain things, this is your capacity. But once you start to be able to feel it, now you are creating the space. By feeling deeply into the emotions, you're expanding your capacity to feel it, because you're creating space around it. So this was the scary emotion before. Oh, scary, scary, scary. And this was your capacity to feel it, because as soon as you felt it, you would contract, which means your energy would go in. But now when it comes, you're teaching yourself how to expand by going into memories, by going into a scene, making yourself feel it, really exaggerating it. So if the feeling was, feeling a feeling of abandonment, rejection, what does abandonment and rejection feel like in the body? Tell me what it feels like. Does it feel like a bowling ball is just got like laid on your chest? Oh, sorry. So there's a lot of heavy weight on your chest. Then feel into that weight. And then I want you to really exaggerate it. What does weight feel like? Like, does it feel like weighing down? Then like put your body down and like really feel into it. Like, exaggerate it as much as you can, because you're expanding by remaining as the witness of it. You're just remaining as the I am while that emotion is being processed. You're learning how to feel, where before you probably didn't have the tools, but now you do. So now you know how to feel it. So now it's no longer a problem. So now you're not unconsciously manifesting things in your life because you refuse to look at it. There's space now. Then you give yourself what you need. Like I said, if it's just like nurturing, if it's just it's okay. I see you, I support you, whatever it is that you need to hear. This is the reparenting, this is the inner child work. And then you see the scene as desired. I feel like this is better than going straight into the scene, because you learn how to feel the discomfort, because the discomfort, this will show up again, not the story that goes along with it, but the emotion itself. And if you don't learn how to sit with this emotion itself, then the story is going to rule your life. But when you learn how to sit with the emotion, then now all of a sudden the story can be whatever it is that you desire. It's just a sensation. It's just an emotion. You know how to feel it. You know how to let it move through you. It's just energy. Then you give yourself what you need. Then you see the scene as desired. And then you repattern that. So now you've revised the scene because you know how to feel it. So now that's not the issue anymore. The feeling isn't holding you back. Your body knows how to feel safe in the discomfort now. So now it's free to move through you. And then you give yourself what you need. Nurturing yourself, and then you see the scene as desired. So now you move that energy. So when you go to recreate that scene and you tap into that point in the timeline, in the waves, you turn the waves into a particle, which becomes your reality, because you completely cut off this connection by feeling it and letting it go. This was the old connection. You cut it off. So now this collapsed back into the wave of potentiality. There's a wave. You could tap into it. It's always available for you. Like Neville says, there's so many states. There's so many states of consciousness. You could tap into any one. But you want to tap into the one that you want by imagining it, by revisioning it. So you see the scene and you tap into that reality. Okay, where is that reality? Where is the reality where my parents, my caregivers showed me so much love? I presented them with this thing and they celebrated me and they rewarded me and they loved me. Where's that reality? Let me go imagine it, vision it, give all the feeling tones of reality. And then I'm going to drop it because I know the work is done. I know on an energetic level that is done. And you'll notice that all of a sudden you start seeing things differently. Okay. So now we're going to go into the last one, which is the beyond self ritual. So I'm just gonna erase all of this because that's what you can do, and that takes time. But what you can do in real time, as you have revised and you understand that it is done, you understand that the energetic work was complete, you learned how to expand instead of contract when the emotion came, you learned how to cross that off. Now we're on beyond self ritual. You learned how to tap into the reality where that never even happened to you. You don't even know, this version of yourself, that never happened. So you tap in with her now. When it comes to your day to day, when circumstances show up that can trigger you into going back into that familiar, pattern, because this happens over repetition and then really just getting you to embody it. So doing that 1 time, 2 times, yes, you will feel the release, but it's just like doing it consistently. That's really going to change the game for you. So what we want to do is work with the Beyond Self ritual, which is a ritual that I created to help my clients be able to meet the resistance and the blocks and the circumstances that seem unfavorable with openness to then drop into their desired reality. So I'll explain it. The B is for breath. The E is for examine. The Y is for yield. The O is for open and observe. The N is for nurture. And the D is for desire. So I'm going to go through this quickly because I'm going to go into this even more in my next video. But breathe is for, let's say you did that work. Now you're going through life. And then you go to, you're about to go to for a performance. You're about to go live. You're about to post some content. And that same feeling that you sat with in that visualization where you felt rejected, where you felt abandonment, you know what it feels like now because you practice knowing what it feels like. So you're like, oh, it's present. Here it is. And you I don't have time to go through that whole revision. Not at this moment. But what I can do is the beyond. I can just remember beyond. So what you're going to do is breathe. Three deep breaths. Then you're going to examine what's going on. This feels familiar. This feels familiar. Examine the thoughts. What am I thinking? Examine the reality. What happened? What was the trigger? Just examine it. Then you're going to yield to the sensation. Okay, where am I feeling it? I'm feeling it in my gut. I'm feeling it right below in my ribs. What does it feel like? Oh, it feels like a sharp pain. You're going to yield and like really exaggerate it in a moment. Like, ugh. Just really be with that, right? And then you're going to open and observe. Relax into it. Open your shoulders, open your neck. Just open your entire body to it. Don't try to change the emotion. Just open around it. This is how you expand instead of contract, where these emotions no longer control you anymore. And then you're going to nurture. I like to nurture. I like to tap. I like to hug. I like to sway. I like to bounce. I like to rock. Just real quick nurturing. And then you're going to drop into the desire. Because now you're in neutrality. Now that emotion no longer has grip over you. You saw it. You went through this. So now, what is the desire? The desire is for me to be a full-time creative. The desire is for me to give the best performance of my life because I am a performer. Whatever that looks like to you, you drop into that and you see the end. What does the end look like? I always say, see somebody congratulating you. See someone shaking your hand, giving you a hug, or just hear someone that you really love say, great job. Who would be talking to you when you got off that stage? Who would message you after that live? Who would you go, like, just see that in your imagination, someone congratulating you. Oh, sorry. See someone congratulating you in your imagination. Hear them, embrace them, whatever. And then what is that feeling? And then feel that and then exaggerate that feeling as well. So would you be feeling excitement? Yes. And then you take action. You take an action to solidify identity. Just take one action, one thing to just solidify and to strengthen those neural pathways that this is our new way of responding to this trigger. We no longer respond in this, oh crap, I'm not going to go live. I'm not going to post. I'm going to cancel. No, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go through the beyond and then I'm going to drop into my desire and then I'm going to take the action. And then you repattern yourself because now all of a sudden your brain is, before it was going stressor. Just imagine these are neurons and these are the connections. Let's just say shut down or freeze, which is shut down or flight. Now it's stressor and expand. Trust, move. And you do that by doing this work. So then now when that shows up, this unconsciously happens. Eventually you won't have to be like, oh, what is the, I mean, this is good to always have in your back pocket, but eventually you won't have to be going through this as often. In the beginning, you will be going through this a lot, but it just becomes very unconscious in you. So that's all I got for today. We went through the Beyond Self ritual. Thank you guys so much for watching How to Revise. This is how you are going to revise, is by repatterning yourself, because it's not enough to just change your beliefs and say, this is what I think happened. And then I know, because you still have a whole life to live. And then your body needs to understand that the emotion that got experienced through whatever traumatic experience, through whatever emotionally driven experience happened, that emotion is okay. It's nothing wrong with it. You just have to teach yourself how to feel it. So then it's much easier to, access that new reality because you don't have anything holding you back, pulling you back, weighing you down. Because you're expanding. Now you have so much space to start to play in the different dimensions. So if this is interesting to you and you are ready to blow up your income and impact in your business, not by doing more, but by tapping into the correct frequency, by tapping into the correct timeline, then check out Thriving Creator. We are starting very soon and I will be closing doors. So if this is something that you want, I said, well, this is something that you want, definitely check in the link. DM me on Instagram. Let's talk about it and let's see where you could fit in and how I can support you. But that's all I got. Bye.